Hey folks, my name's Kyle Henderson.
And I'm Rich Moore, and you've been unhinged from time.
We're coming at you from the pages, our weekly comic book show talking about the events going on recently. And today we're going to talk to you about Avengers Age of Ultron again, only this time we're going to be doing a spoiler-fied issue. So, something we've been reading about a lot online lately is a lot of people don't really know who the Vision is. When you watch the movie, he's the guy that came from the sort of the crucible that Ultron was growing a body out of.
Cradle, they called it.
The cradle, yeah, they called it the cradle. And he had the Mind Gem, the Mind Stone, put into his head by Thor, because Thor said this is a good idea. Now, like I said, a lot of people don't really know who he is. So, I'm actually not entirely sure who he is either, Rich. So who is the Vision in the comics?
Yeah,
what is he?
The Vision in the comics, his origin's a little bit different than the one in the movie, but it's longer and it's very much more comic booky. But it's a little bit similar too. The Vision was originally a creation of Ultron. Mm-hmm. Ultron has serious daddy issues. So one of the ways that his daddy issue was expressed was that he wanted to be better than his creator and create something better than himself, actually, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But again, Ultron, batshit crazy. Okay, so he creates the Vision to actually...
He's not one for hindsight.
Right, he creates the Vision to just to create like a sun and to destroy the Avengers. So he creates the Vision and he sends them against the Avengers. So in the comic books, he didn't actually have any intent on using that body himself. He created the Vision as a separate entity. Mm-hmm. But because in comic books, all good robots go bad and all bad robots go good, once the Vision attacked the Avengers and beat him up for a little bit, he realized that he didn't want to be a bad guy, and he ends up joining the Avengers and becoming a long-standing staple on the team, even going so far as to getting married to the Scarlet Witch and having impossible children with her, even though he's a synthetic man.
Scarlet Witch. Impossible is pretty much what her powers are.
Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah. So a Vision's been around for a long time. That happened in the late 70s.
I don't know about what particular year, but definitely in the 70s.
Yeah, so it happened in about the 70s.
Maybe mid-70s.
Mid-70s. So the Vision has been a staple in the Avengers for 40 years now.
Yeah, he's usually on the team.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of people don't really know about him because, that kind of happens. If, for instance, you're not really big into comic books, but you know the Justice League of America, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Have you ever heard of the Martian Manhunter? Maybe not.
Most people haven't.
Yeah. Most people haven't because he hasn't really had his own television show, his own movie and whatnot. But just like the Vision, they're both these sort of staple characters of these lineups or whatnot. You know, they're not the most important part, but you could even say in some instances they're probably the heart or the soul of it.
Right, yeah, because they're the characters that don't have their own book. They're not Captain America. They're not Superman. They're the people that you only see in the Avengers.
Yeah, their book
they
is
are
the
an
Avenger.
Avenger.
Their book is the Avengers book. You know.
Now, one thing in the movie that they didn't really do was explain his powers and what he was doing, but those of us who knew what they were got to see him doing it. So that was really cool.
Which was really neat.
It was really a lot of fun. Vision's main power in the comic books, and apparently in the movies too, is he can change his density, which in comic book terms means he can lower his density enough that he can just phase right through matter and push his hands through things. He can also harden his own density to diamond-like hardness, which would make him really tough and really strong. Mm-hmm. And in the fight scenes with the robots, you did get to see him like reach into an Ultron bot and rip pieces out of it and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. He also projects a solar beam from his head, even though he doesn't have an infinity gem.
I think in the comics he kind of just has a generic crystal there.
Yeah, it's just a lens.
I don't know if it's solar energy or just like pulsar or whatever the hell it is.
It's solar energy in the beginning. Okay, I don't know if they've changed it since. They probably back then solar energy, that was pretty high tech.
Everybody's shooting laser beams.
Yeah, everybody has lasers.
Yeah, so that's who the Vision. That's a rough guideline of who the Vision is. You know, so Quicksilver dies.
Quicksilver dies.
Takes about
we meet him, and he goes down.
Yeah, we meet him. He takes about half a dozen, bullets, like point blank.
He dies very heroically. He does die very heroically. Saving Hawkeye, which I didn't like because I wanted Hawkeye to die, not Quicksilver.
I didn't want Hawkeye to die.
I wanted Hawkeye to die.
Okay, so here's it is. If Hawkeye had died in the first one, I would have been okay. But in this one, we got to know him a little bit.
Yeah, I hated that whole part of the movie.
See, I didn't hate that part of the movie. And like his kids, his family, whatever, I didn't care about that. He talked. He said stuff. He interacted and whatnot. Yeah. He had lines. He had a character. He had dialogue. And I was like, okay, I can dig him. He's kind of coming. He has that scene with Scarlet Witch where he's like, this is the part where you need to be a fucking Avenger. Now, shit or get off the pot.
He got a little bit more of a character.
He got a little bit more. You got to see that character that was like a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent.
I don't hate the actor, and I really don't hate the character on screen. I just don't like the character very much as part of the Avengers. There are comic books with Hawkeye that I like, but I just don't see the Archer guy being on Earth's Mightiest Heroes. That's a nerd complaint. I know.
It's a complaint I've always had, and it's a complaint I even have now in the movies. Like him and Black Widow, they have no fucking business being there. Like,
the eye candy for Black Widow.
Yeah, so what? Like Scarlet Witch's power, she's fucking eye candy. Ms. Marvel runs around in a goddamn leotard.
No, they're gonna get there.
They're gonna get there, sure. But I mean, I'm just saying, if you want eye candy that can actually hold their own weight and fight the Hulk, then you could have put in Carol Danvers. She-Hulk would have been She-Hulk would have been cool too. I dig She-Hulk. I love her. But so Quicksilver bites the bullet about 6 or 7 times in this one.
Yeah,
and
he takes a couple.
And I hated that because I really liked his character. We didn't get a great deal of it.
I didn't see him enough to like him. He had very few lines. He was cool.
He had very few
lines. That whole
lines,
movie was cool. Everything looked cool.
His character, everything he did made sense. He used to, especially when Scarlet Witch is talking about the Stark bomb that they were looking at for 3 days, never knowing when it would go off. That was cool. And that's a strong character-driven reason for him to have gone and had himself experimented on. We didn't see enough of that, which I would like to see. Whether or not it's because I didn't actually watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I know the character Baron Strucker shows up in.
Yeah.
And like if it explained more in that, then I'll forgive them because that's my fault for not watching the tie-in issues up into the main event.
Yeah,
which is a thing that happens in comic books too. So I have nobody to blame but myself.
Right, we can't read everything. Well, you can, but it's hard.
It's harder to watch everything because, like, if you look at all these right here, like, those trade issues right there in the beginning, they're going to take about an hour and a half to read. That's it, as opposed to 23-hour-long episodes, which is a little harder to.
But I want to read 4 years of comics. But here's the thing: is with Quicksilver's death, the big deal about that is that Wanda is extremely powerful. The Scarlet Witch that you saw. I mean, you saw her in the movie. You saw her basically mind controlling the entire Avengers and taking down the whole team pretty much by herself. And that's just the barest minimum of what she can do. The Scarlet Witch's powers are pretty much unlimited almost.
Yeah.
And her brother dying is enough to make her go over the edge. And once she goes over the edge and starts acting insane, then the world gets twisted. So that's the big point about Quicksilver's death is that it's going to be a problem with her later on.
Oh, yeah. See, Quicksilver's death is, in the movie, it's impactful because it's like, oh no, he died, but we just got to see him, so you could write him off. But on a meta level, it's incredibly intense because of what we know of Scarlet Witch in the comic books. Like Scarlet Witch's powers have always been described as she can manipulate chaos. On a bare minimum level, she can manipulate time flow energy in order to make that delivery guy show up on time. Right. Or she can
originally she altered probability.
Yeah, she can alter probability so the bullet doesn't hit you. Right. But the truth is, her powers are just manipulation of the time of just existence, reality. And you actually see some of that in the movie. You see some of that when Quicksilver dies. She screams and it's all quiet, and I really like that scene. That scene was beautiful and whatnot. And the robot in front of her is atomized.
Yeah,
she's breaking it apart on an atomic level. She could do that to Thor.
Yeah, easily.
She has the power to do that.
She can rewrite history.
She can completely rewrite history. In the comic book, it's a very famous panel that makes me mad on levels I can only describe as biblical, where she says no more mutants, and 98% of all mutants are stricken without their powers or lose their powers.
It's actually more than that.
No, it is. It's 98%. Yeah, it is.
There were 16 million mutants. It went down to 200.
No, it went down to 500.
So I don't care.
It was probably I think what happened was it was like 98% of the mutants 98% of the mutants lose their powers, and then something like a whole bunch of them just get the shit murdered out of them because all of a sudden all these mutants don't exist anymore.
The rest of them just got murdered. Yeah. The point is that Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, that's why I keep saying Deus Ex Wanda, is insanely powerful. She can almost do whatever she wants. That's the way the writers use her. They use her to the level of all right, I'm just going to rewrite everything, and it's because the Scarlet Witch did it.
Yeah,
keep an eye on that. Out for that in the future. Remember how dangerous she is.
So if you've been watching the movies, if you've kept up with the cinematic universe, you obviously know where it's all going. It's going to the Infinity War. The Infinity War, which is genuinely one of my favorite comics I've ever read. It has my favorite panel ever of Captain America standing off against Thanos, and it's just a lot of really good characterization in it. It's beautiful in its like elegance of pure megalomania and just like. The bad guy wins. The bad guy won. 99% of the book is the bad guy winning, and then he loses to his own machinations, which is how Thanos has always defeated himself. Thanos has always defeated himself by losing to his own machinations, which is something I'm going to bring up against another point you want to bring up. So, now, the reason why I bring this up now is because of the Infinity Stones, which in the books are called Infinity Gems. That's just semantics, though. There's 6 of them. There's time, power, reality,
space,
soul.
And which one did you skip?
I don't know.
Time, space, mind, power.
Mind. Yeah. Mind. Skip mind. Yeah. So there's 6 gems. That's how smart we are. And I lost it. Hello. Hi, editor. This is his editing bit because he's probably going to do a jump cup to make up for this.
So, this isn't coming out.
No. No? Sure.
But anyway, one of the stones is a prominent factor in the movie because one of the stones is in Loki's scepter from Avengers.
Mm-hmm. Which is something that's not actually told to us in Avengers 1. It's something that we kind of like fan theorized and then was confirmed in this.
This is something fun we had to talk about until now. Mm-hmm. I did enjoy arguing about it with people a little bit and thinking, what if it is? Is it not? But yeah, it was one of the Infinity Stones. It was the Mind Gem. That's how he was mind controlling Hawkeye. And who's Thor's friend?
Dr. something. I don't
Selvig.
know. Dr. Selvig, thank you.
Selvig, not Natalie Portman, that guy. So that's how he was mind controlling people with the scepter. But what we find out in Age of Ultron is that encasing this stone was some kind of technology that had some sort of computer code in it.
Yeah, some sort of futuristic code thing.
This is what becomes the Vision's brain patterns. So the question now is, who wrote that code?
And that's who became Ultron.
Yeah, that's the Ultron.
The casing on the thing became Ultron.
Yeah. So that's where Ultron came from.
So
part
Vision
of that became Ultron.
But I thought part of it went into Vision too.
No, he was basically uploading his consciousness in the Vision, but it kept getting interrupted.
And
so the part of him that's Ultron would have part of that. But but still, it begs the question: where did that code come from?
What code?
The code that was surrounding the stone, that was used to make Ultron.
Yeah, that
code. Wrote that code?
Well,
Did Thanos write that code?
Whatever that is, that's sort of like tech. That sort of tech they find in it, which is actually kind of indicative to how like Asgardian tech works, where it's so advanced it doesn't look like tech; it looks like magic. It looks like a magic stone to them.
Right.
So it's probably something from Loki or from Thanos. Well, it has to be from Thanos, since the staff being from Thanos explains its power level and also explains why it has a stone in.
But was that begs the further question: did Thanos plan to have an artificial intelligence ruin the world?
Was Thanos that deep? I don't think so.
That seems like a whole lot of foresight to me. It seems weak. It seems strange.
It doesn't seem...
There's something we don't know yet.
See, I don't think that's true in the sense that he like expected Tony Stark to do this, because he wanted to go on Earth to get the Tesseract. It's the entire reason for Loki going in Avengers 1.
Right.
But now the Tesseract's not on Earth. Tesseract is in Asgard, which means the only stone left on Earth is the one that he let get taken there. Mm-hmm. So ultimately, I think that's the impression that he's giving from the very end of the movie when he's like, I got to handle this myself. I feel like that's the impression we're getting from him, is he's going to go to Earth to take care of it himself to finally get everything he needs. Mm-hmm. Now that's where previously where I had said that Thanos is always his worst enemy. The only time Thanos ever actually lost in comic books in any sense was due to his own plans, his own machinations, his own grandiosity and his own ego. He would always defeat himself, basically, is what would happen. So I think where you feel that Vision is a plant from Thanos.
I think it might be. I think that some of that code might be. So this is what's going to bring me into the thing that made me a little nuts, was that at the end of the movie, Vision has the Mind Stone, and everyone just decides to let him keep it. And I have a problem with this. I think there's something fishy going on there. Maybe the Mind Stone's being used to actually influence everyone around them to let that happen. Because the Vision wasn't even born yesterday. He was born today.
You see, while I understand the influence everybody around him, the truth is he picked up the hammer.
He picked up the hammer because he's a newborn.
No.
He hasn't sinned yet because he hasn't had a chance.
But it has nothing to do with sin and original sin. It has to do with being worthy of the hammer.
Right. And
it's a completely metaphysical concept.
You can become unworthy by doing something bad. This has been established as precedent in the comic, which means the Vision could go out and do something bad and then no longer be worthy to lift the hammer. This has happened to Thor. Thor has become unworthy by doing bad things.
But then it begs the question of, is the elevator worthy?
Is the elevator worthy?
No, really, is the elevator worthy? Because it's in the same. He shouldn't have been able.
That.
But Vision Vision at that point had not had a chance to prove himself worthy. Humanity doesn't default to worthy. Consciousness doesn't default to worthy. It defaults to neutral. Well, he hadn't proven himself worthy or unworthy.
Opinion.
Well, it's a matter of opinion, but I mean, if Captain America wasn't worthy
You're
for
telling
the
me,
hammer.
You're telling me that this Infinity Stone, which they know to be one of the most powerful things they've ever encountered, Tony Stark is being like, yeah, just leave it on him. Get out of here. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
I'm not saying there might be some level of meta manipulation going on,
There's
but I think
something going on.
I think that
everybody was way too cool with leaving the newborn baby robot with one of the most powerful things I've ever seen.
because Thor landed and was like, I had a vision and it was okay. So they trusted Thor, and their trust panned out in the end.
It's a bit much for me to think that.
Not to mention we're considering. I mean, we know how powerful the stones are, but do they know how powerful they are?
Yeah, Thor does at least.
Thor knows of them. He doesn't understand their true power.
The Tesseract, they've seen the ether. He's seen, like, they know that those are stones. They've seen Loki use the scepter. They know what the stones can do, especially the Asgardians. They know they've seen them before, which brings me to another point that we're going to talk about, which is the two glove system. The two glove system.
I think the two glove system is some. But no, I just want to get back to this point. So,
okay.
Thanos has always made his own defeats. He's always made his own weapons.
Mm-hmm.
So even if it is a long game plan of the mind gem becoming an AI and taking over Vision, and Vision being a plant, Vision at the end is going to come back and win the day. I don't think Vision's going to get killed or be ultimately controlled. I think if anything, Vision's going to be what stops Thanos, because in the comics, traditionally, Thanos has always defeated himself. And if he has any hand in making the Vision, he defeats himself.
But first he wins completely.
Well, sure, but nobody's arguing that point.
And then he slips on a banana peel.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
He does do that. Yes,
he never slips on a banana peel.
That's
he falls out of the Thanos copter, but he doesn't slip on a banana peel.
He sets himself up. He wins first. And then he realizes, I'm not worthy of this ultimate power, and then gives it up by setting himself up to lose it. That's what he does.
No, he doesn't.
Yes.
No.
That's what happened at the end of Infinity Gauntlet.
No, it's not.
Okay, tell me what happened.
He wasn't paying attention for a second, and Nebula stole the gauntlet from him.
He wasn't paying attention for a second. He was eternity. He was the entire universe. He was experiencing everything everywhere.
His own ego,
he let that happen.
Yeah, in his own ego, he focused on one thing instead of all of reality.
The writer of that story has said that this is why he lost it.
It's what they say in the comics.
Yes, he loses it because he knows he's not worthy of the power and gives it up voluntarily.
He does not give it up voluntarily.
Yes.
The gauntlet gets stolen by Nebula.
He made that happen because he knows he's not worthy of the power. The
gauntlet gets stolen by Nebula. And then all the shit happens with Nebula. And then after that, he's like, yeah, I wasn't worth it. But he didn't give it up.
Multiple times, and he admitted it and talked about it with Adam Warlock, that he knows he's not worthy of the power, so that's why when he gets it, because once you have the Infinity Gauntlet, unless you want to lose it, you're probably not gonna. He was God. He set himself up to lose. He put himself out of the body, let Nebula wander by, and grab the gauntlet.
That's what I've been saying this entire time.
Right.
But he didn't do it on purpose. It was like subconscious.
Not consciously, but
that's
subconsciously,
what I'm saying.
yes.
Yeah, subconsciously
he
didn't do it.
Otherwise, that wouldn't have been able to happen.
That's what I've been saying this whole time. And that's what I've been saying.
You're vehemently agreeing with me then.
Yeah, because you're saying it right. You're saying that he did it on purpose, that he gave up the power. He didn't give up the power. He subconsciously didn't think he was worth it. But it's the same way here, where he makes his own weaknesses. And if anything, the Vision's going to be his greatest downfall. The Vision's entire sense of consciousness comes from the mind gem. He is the Mind Stone. And the Mind Stone as where else does his intelligence come from? It doesn't come from Ultron.
The stones themselves aren't sentient.
At
least not in the comics.
It's Jarvis.
It's the Mind Stone.
He's part Jarvis. He's part whatever the hell was around the stone.
So he has his accent and his mannerisms from Jarvis.
He says himself he's part Jarvis, not quite Jarvis.
He's
part Ultron, not quite
Ultron, and
something else.
Yeah,
that's something else. Is the Mind Stone. It's giving him true sentience. The Mind Stone, the
Mind Stone can give him that, but it's not a sentient thing itself. At least not.
The Mind Stone's an existential piece of reality. It could absolutely be a sentient thing. It's an ingot of distilled intelligence.
In the comics, it's never been sentient that I've read, is what I'm saying.
But we're not dealing with the comics. We're dealing with a movie.
Right.
Where apparently there's two gauntlets.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah. So something else that's been worth talking about is the stinger at the very end of Avengers, where Thanos puts on the gauntlet. Thanos puts on we discussed this the other day. He put on the right gauntlet or the left?
He puts on the left one in the movie. But the thing of it is that the one in in the other scene in the Thor movie was the right one.
Yeah.
So they are opposite.
Okay. I just forgot which one was right. So he puts on a gauntlet with no stones in it, and says his ominous line. Now one of the writers, Kevin Feige, came out. It's Kevin Feige.
Kevin Feige.
Kevin Feige came out. Apologize for ruining your name. Kevin came out and said that the gauntlet that he had taken up was not the one from Asgard. Now, what this means is that there's two gauntlets in existence. Now, the gauntlet itself does have some level of power. I'm not sure on the specifics of what they are. Actually, I probably should have read that.
Not to my knowledge. It's his glove.
It's just a
glove.
It's
Thanos' glove, so it probably has like some death trap rays and stuff built into it. But it's just a glove.
It's not just Thanos' glove. It's a glove specially made to hold the Infinity Stones. I think there's a level of power in it, but not on like any major level. Just like some tech stuff. Regardless,
I don't think there's anything you need in it because in the Infinity War, which is actually a sequel to the Infinity Gauntlet, which is the first story. Adam Warlock goes to actually put the gauntlet back together, and Thanos just takes off one of his gloves and gives it to him so he can put the stones on it. So I don't think there's anything too special about the glove itself.
Well, regardless, there's two of them now.
Yes, there's two of them, and a lot of people think that's a big deal.
Maybe it is. I can absolutely see, I could see, Captain America or Thor wearing the gauntlet with half the gems and Thanos with the other half, and then Thanos wins and he takes both gauntlets, and that's like how they end part one.
That could happen. I personally think this is one of those Easter egg things that people have blown out of a little proportion.
That's ultimately
I think it was a background shot that was fun for us when it happened, and now that the Infinity War is coming around, I think people are looking back, and because everything's been so cohesive to this point, and a lot of things have meant other things and have been hinted Easter eggs and stuff like that, I think that people are just reading a little too much into it. Now, I'm willing to entertain the idea that it does mean something, and if it does, I'll say this, it could mean that perhaps this isn't the first time that Thanos has done this. Perhaps he's done it once before, which would actually line up to the fact that Infinity War was the sequel to Infinity Gauntlet. So perhaps he did make this gauntlet before and was stopped somehow, and we haven't been told about it.
I think if that's
I don't think so.
I think if that's true, then it's not Thanos himself who tried to do it before. I think it might have been something else that might have done it before. Maybe another maybe another Titan, or perhaps Adam Warlock himself, or maybe they'll throw in some of the other sort of celestial beings.
I don't know if we're going to get Adam Warlock or not. I mean,
we did see the cocoon.
We did see the cocoon, but I don't know if they're going to put him in the movie.
Well, now remember, but the cocoon itself was hatched at the end. We saw it unhatched in the middle of the movie when he went to go see Benicio del Toro.
You're right. There was the second.
And then when the stinger at the end, when they show Howard the Duck, you could see the cocoon was definitely opened up.
The cocoon was open, yeah.
So Adam Warlock certainly has precedence for being in there, and Guardians of the Galaxy was made recently enough for it to have been there on purpose, spoiling or teasing that Adam Warlock will show up.
Yeah, Adam Warlock is the nemesis of Thanos. He's Thanos' opposite. He pretty much exists as the champion of life, whereas Thanos is the champion of death. He's actually usually pretty bad at it, too. He doesn't usually do a great job. He
dies a lot.
When he fights Thanos, he dies a lot. But that's what happens with the cocoon, is that he grows back. But since he hasn't been a presence in the cinematic Marvel universe yet, there's no reason to think that he's going to be a major star in the Infinity War. That's just one of those we'll have to wait and see things.
I think what we might do is yell at DeLeo for not silencing his fucking phone while on the set.
I can't work like this.
Neither can I. But I think what we might do is probably see Adam Warlock or some hint of it in Thor Ragnarok.
That's possible.
I feel like since we're not going to have another Guardian, I'm not sure. Are we going to get the second Guardians of the Galaxy before Infinity War?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before it? Mm-hmm. Really?
So we're going to have at least 2 movies in space before Infinity War. So we've definitely got time to see Adam Warlock.
Well, you got Guardians, and what's the other space one?
Well, Thor Ragnarok. It's going to happen on Asgard. And that's definitely that definitely feels like it's going to be more of a celestial.
In my mind, those two things don't connect.
Yeah. I feel like
those two things don't connect in my brain.
I feel like Asgard's going to be more, or Thor Ragnarok's going to be more celestial than it is terrestrial, if anything.
I hope it leans more on the mythology and the fantasy aspect of it, because Thor 2 did went the other direction with it and was more of a sci-fi kind of
it came off a little too sci-fi,
with the X-Wing fighters and everything. It wasn't the feel I wanted out of a Thor movie. I like the first one better.
Yeah.
I'm hoping Ragnarok goes in the opposite direction and we get all kinds of giant slaying and dragons and ridiculous mythology.
Good old-fashioned Rainbow Bridge. And
and Fenris Wolf and all that fun stuff. That's what I want to see. My favorite Thor comics are very heavily reliant on the mythology, and they don't really have that science fiction aspect to it, because in the comics, they don't really go that way. It's just they're gods.
That's more of an influence from the Ultimate series, I think.
Yeah.
Of kind of how they first handled.
No, and I understand why. I don't want to. I don't want to hear it a lot. You know what I mean? I get it, and I'm willing to let it go, but don't keep throwing it in my face, okay?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the new lineup before we go. Yeah, let's talk about the new Avengers.
Oh, yeah, so we've got
the new Avengers, right? And how there wasn't enough of them.
The Avengers that totally didn't
First
assemble.
of all, I want more War Machine. What the hell?
Yeah, that really pissed me off.
The little bit he was in at the end was awesome.
So fuck you, Joss Whedon.
Why didn't we get
not because
more
of
War Machine?
Not because of War Machine, but because of the Falcon.
Where was the Falcon?
Where was the Falcon at all? They're like, we've got your back.
We need air support.
Air support.
We've got somebody just for that. Here comes War Machine, and I really expected to see the Falcon fly
exactly.
right behind him. You got a guy who can fly. No.
You've got two black sidekicks that can fly.
And the War Machine
They've already been in the fucking movie.
The War Machine.
The Falcon's proven himself amazing. He had a costume that they didn't get to fucking use, and he couldn't use them at all.
I love the War Machine scenes. I even liked Don Cheadle in telling his story in between.
Don's great at it.
I wanted to see more War Machine. Iron Man 2. I love the end of Iron Man 2 where we get Iron Man and War Machine fighting an army of robots. More War Machine. I want more of that.
Yeah, no, War Machine was excellent. But, they used him well. He's good for what he is. I like the new lineup. It's a natural step forward.
Let's break it down. We've got War Machine, Falcon,
Scarlet Witch,
Vision, Captain America,
Black
Widow. That's everybody, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lineup.
And they're sort of
a little underpowered, I'd say, because you lost Thor and Iron Man.
Well,
you got a Vision.
They have War Machine, so it doesn't matter if they lost Iron Man.
Not equivalent to Iron Man, you know that.
No, but they still have the tech side. You're talking about Hulk. That's where their power is. They lost Hulk and Thor, so they don't have any Class A hitters anymore.
Yeah, but Vision's a heavy hitter. You could call War Machine a heavy hitter, but still not. I mean, nobody's as powerful as the core lineup anyway.
Well, no, but that's not the point.
They need a Wonder Man. That's who they need.
No, they don't need Wonder Man.
They need a Wonder Man.
Wonder Man's trash.
I said a Wonder Man, not Wonder Man.
They don't need Wonder Man.
They can't do him now.
They can't.
Brain patterns are in the Vision.
Sure.
That's who they Ultron used. Ultron in the comics used Wonder Man's brain patterns to create the Vision. That's why Wonder Man and the Vision consider themselves brothers.
And Wonder Man is like a D-list hero who's kind of shitty. He's got glowy eyes and penetrable skin.
He's not really a D-list hero.
He's boring as fuck.
He's as important to the Avengers as the Vision.
He hasn't been important in the comics in like 25 years. He doesn't do anything. He's an actor. He goes and acts. He's the Johnny Cage of Marvel. The only thing he doesn't have is Hollywood tattooed on his chest, which at least we've got that.
But ironically enough, he becomes Hollywood in the Guardians of the Galaxy future. That's true.
Sure.
He really does become a character named Hollywood because he doesn't die in the 31st century. Yeah.
So anyway, folks, I think we're going to wrap it up here. And thank you again. This one was a little disheveled, but that's kind of how we like to play things here.
Yeah.
Next time we come on, we're probably going to talk about more that's going on in the comic book side of the world. We've got Secret Wars going on. We got a Convergence going on in DC. We've got a lot of stuff that we want to catch you up on and talk about. We might go on a little bit longer, a little bit shorter. Who knows? Anyway, from the pages, my name is Kyle Henderson.
I'm Rich Moore.
Thank you very much for following us. Like, share, subscribe. Help us get our name out there, guys. We'd really appreciate it. And, I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll have you on one day if you happen to be our biggest fan. Either way, thank you so much for watching us. And have a good night.